Okay, this is by Havovi Gandhi. Abhijit Chavda, you have a Parsi surname. You have taken the name of one Parsi family and set them up as an example. Blah blah blah. Long thing. Um, what else? The Sindhyas and the Gaekwads, who are Maharashtrians, buttered up the British. The various Rajasthani rulers' wives smoked and wore French chiffons, were bunchums with the British. Each community took advantage for themselves. That's why we had to fight for independence and so on and so forth. And please do your research well before you point a finger at a community. Um, I don't think I have. First of all, let's address the question of of my surname being a Parsi surname. When did our Parsi friends uh, escape with their lives from Persia and come to India? About 1100-1200 years ago, right after the Arabian occupation of Persia, and the horrific atrocities they perpetrated on Persia, right? Recently there was a tweet from Dr. Neeraj Rai which pointed to a certain study, a scientific study, which says, Dr. Neeraj Rai, he's appeared on a podcast on this channel. He's one of the world's foremost genetic researchers, Dr. Neeraj Rai. Dr. Neeraj Rai recently, you can look up his Twitter timeline. He has said this recently. They have determined that the Parsees of India, they are genetically closer to the ancient Persians than today's Persian population. What does this mean? It means Persia's today's population is not the same, is not completely descended from the old Persians. A lot of foreign genetics, especially Arabian genetics, uh, introgressed into Persia in roughly the past 1000 years. So the Indian Parsis are much closer to the ancient Persians than today's Persians, which I think we all understand the mechanism, the mechanics, and dynamics of how the genetics of Persia must have been changed in the past 1000 years. Yeah, we all know that it did not happen to Persians in India. They were not they were not forced to intermarry with Indians. There was no forcible anything done to them. They were able to live any way they wanted, and they were allowed the freedom to do that in India. And we know what happened to them in Persia, right? That's first thing. But when did the Parsis first come to India? About 1200 or so years ago, right? The problem with this statement that this lady Havovi Gandhi is making is that the Chavda surname is older than that. Chavdas are known to have lived in Western India much before the Parsi escape into India. So that itself demonstrates that this this claim is false. And this lady Havovi Gandhi has a Gujarati surname, Gandhi. It's not a Parsi surname. What the Parsis did is that after they escaped to India, they took up various Indian surnames, all the local Western Indian surnames, Mehta, and I don't know, whatever surnames that people had in Gujarat, they acquired these surnames, right? Gujarat and Western India and all that. So some of the surnames don't make much sense, like Tata and Baba and all that. Um, the Parsis have had many great people, no doubt about that. But that happened because India was magnanimous enough to give them shelter when nobody else was willing to give them shelter, right? And for the longest time, the Parsis were just an ordinary community in India. But when the British took over, the Parsis suddenly shot to prominence, and they started suddenly becoming superstars. Why? Because the British singled out the Parsis for preferential treatment. The British had this policy of divide and rule, and they singled out the Parsi community, this tiny Parsi community, for preferential treatment. They gave them all the privileges that they would not give to the rest of the Indian communities. And that's why the Parsis suddenly became mega rich, industrialists and whatnot, right? And we also know the Parsi role in opium smuggling and drug smuggling, which was done on the behest of Queen Victoria. We know the Parsi participation, participation of various Parsi merchants and traders in the opium oppression in China. We know all that. It's all a matter of record. Look it up, right? And that's why I said that the Parsis were given preferential treatment, and that's why they became so dominant and all that. And all their wealth is thanks to this British preferential treatment. Otherwise, they are no different from any other Indian community. Especially, I would say that the people of the so-called Banya people of Rajasthan, the Marwaris, etc., even of Gujarat, these people have entrepreneurship in their blood. If they had been given the same privileges as the Parsis, they would have transformed the whole world, right? But that did not happen. So that is the thing. Now, obviously, some Parsis have contributed something good to the country. We have the Tatas and the whatever, yeah, whoever else. We also have the example of what's his name, Sam Manekshaw, who was one of the major participants in the Bangladesh Liberation War. Well, please, let's understand this. If Sam Manekshaw wasn't there, if somebody else was in his place, the same result would have been accomplished. It's not like Indians are less capable than Parsis. People forget the name of Lieutenant General Sagat Singh Rathore. He is one of the unsung heroes of the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. Nobody speaks about him much. And he's also one of the unsung heroes of the 1967 victory of India against China. Nobody even knows that India and China went to war in 1967 because your journalists and your favorite history teachers will not tell you this. India and China fought a war in 1967 and the Chinese were defeated. And one of the heroes of that Indian victory was Lieutenant General Sagat Singh Rathore, who also was instrumental in ensuring the Indian victory in 1971. But all the credit goes to Sam Manekshaw. Do you know what Lieutenant General Sagat Singh Rathore looked like? Let me see. 1971 surrender, Pakistan surrender. Let's see the picture. Let me put that on the screen, shall we? And let me show you what Lieutenant General Sagat Singh Rathore looked like. Where's the image? Let's put an image on the screen. So if you see, where's the image? Let's take this one for instance. So over here, you see that a Pakistani fellow Niazi with the pen in his hand. You go right above him. You have this gentleman in this olive green shirt, which is second from right. That is Lieutenant General Sagat Singh Rathore, one of the great warriors India has produced. So let's not try to attribute everything to one individual. 1971 was a collective victory. Many people participated in that, and for some reason we overemphasize the role of one individual. I am not saying that Sam Manekshaw was not a great soldier. Obviously, he was a great soldier. He was one of India's greatest soldiers, one of India's greatest military leaders. But if Sam Manekshaw wasn't there, many other leaders, many other soldiers, generals could have taken up the same role, and they would have accomplished the same result, if not a better result. So let's not try to deify a certain community who have greatly benefited from the preferential treatment given to them through no fault of their own by India's foreign occupiers. Parsis are a wonderful people. I like the Parsis. I don't have anything against the Parsis. I am just stating historical facts. So let's not get all riled up and emotional about this. I'm sure Havovi Gandhi is a very nice lady with a Gujarati surname. Nothing against anybody. I'm just stating historical facts. We have to understand how Indian society ended up the way it is today. How did some people end up so rich? Any person who was very rich in 1947 became rich only through the preferential treatment given to them by the British. You could not become rich in British occupied India unless you served the British. Please understand that. And this doesn't apply only to the Parsis. This also applies to various other industrialists who became monumentally rich during British rule. Can you think of any? Homework karo. Go on, find it out.